Welcome everyone. We'll start this webinar shortly as more attendees arrive. So please stand by. Thank you. Okay, so I think we have a good number of attendees and then we can get started now. So good morning, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. I'm Shashidhar Reddy and I'm part of Citrix Ready technical team. And I hope everyone is doing good and keeping safe in this pandemic situation. I would like to welcome you all to this Citrix Ready technical webinar series where we showcase how Citrix and our partners have integrated to deliver valuable products and solutions to common problems faced by our customers today. I really appreciate everyone's time here. And today we will talk about how Citrix and IGEL have come together to deliver optimized Microsoft Teams and accelerated graphic solutions. And along with me, we have Jim Edo, VP of Business Development from IGEL, Frederick Bradstreet, Technology Evangelist from IGEL, and James Su, HGX Multimedia Product Manager from Citrix, who will walk through this webinar and let us know what are the achievements that we have been through as Citrix and IGEL side. So thanks everyone for joining us today. And just a few housekeeping things. Before we jump onto the core topics here, I would like to let you know that this webinar is getting recorded and we'll make this webinar video also available on our Citrix Ready YouTube channel later on, and you will also receive a notification on this. So if you have any questions during this webinar, please post them in the question panel in the GTW window, and we'll take them in the end in the Q&A session. Next slide, please, Frederick. Yeah, thanks. So to talk about Citrix Ready program, we're an end-to-end technology partner program, which showcases and recommends third-party products, solutions, or services to demonstrate the compatibility with the Citrix products. Customers who wants to buy these Citrix Ready verified products, this is the platform which makes it very easy for them to make their purchase decision easier. You can navigate to citrixready.citrix.com to find out all these Citrix Ready verified products. And to talk about the program, to Citrix Ready program, you can navigate to citrixready.com/partners/program/Citrix Ready. So yeah, next slide, please. We have seen that gift coming up. Yeah, that's a pretty looking gift, and that's an Amazon Echo Dot. So we will be keeping a track of the attendees who will be joining this webinar, and every 10th attendee would be eligible to get this. And this will be applicable to the US and Canada participants only. So you could be one of the lucky winners today. So with that said, I will now hand this over to Jim. Hey, Jim, thanks for joining. The stage is all yours now.
Thank you, Shashi. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. What I'd like to say is that Citrix and IGEL have enjoyed a long-standing partnership greater than 20 years. We established the partnership with Citrix back in 2001, and the company was formed in 2001. I'm sorry. But we've been a Citrix Ready partner for over a decade and a half. We've achieved the Citrix Ready Endpoint Premium Badge, which you see here displayed on the screen, which is the highest level for our devices as well as our IGEL operating system. We have about 450 employees at IGEL, over 4 million active users, and like I said earlier, we've been a partner of Citrix for many, many years. Our IGEL OS is a purpose-built OS. It's very secure. It supports legacy hardware in this day and age where we have chip shortages and new laptops and PCs and terminals are hard to come by. We allow organizations to repurpose that hardware using the IGEL OS and get another 2 to 3 years out of that investment. we can deploy rapidly to thousands and thousands of users, and we actually do have a few examples where we have over 100,000 users under management at some of our customers. So I'm grateful that you're on the webinar today. I think you're going to enjoy what you have to see. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to James Su.
Hey guys. All right, thank you, Jim. So today, our agenda is going to be focusing on unified communications application optimization in Citrix and IGEL OS. And we are going to start with the Microsoft Teams optimization. Then we're going to move into Zoom VDI and also Cisco WebEx VDI implementations. So these are the topic today. And I will be talking about some of the overview of the solutions and point out a couple of important reminders in the configuration. And after, we will actually show you some exciting demo videos regarding how this technology can be implemented inside IGEL devices. All right, let's get started. Next slide, please. Yeah. All right, so so let's look at the HDX on the Microsoft Teams optimization. So Citrix provide this solution out of the box in the current release of the CWA client, and also for the VDA, we require customer to use 1906 or higher version of VDA, and you'll be able to leverage Microsoft Teams optimization. Now, for the latest and greatest feature for Teams, we always recommend customer to use the CR release or current release version of the client. Yeah. And the beauty of this is that there's the client software is embedded in our CWA client, so there's no plugin install required. It is part of our distribution. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. Now for Zoom, this technology requires a sort of a media engine plugin into Citrix CWA client. So on the VDI side, we will need to install Zoom VDI client software. So this is something that the customer will need to download specifically from Zoom website, and you need to install that version of the Zoom client on the VDA. And then on the client side, it will require a plugin to be installed with the CWA client alongside with it. Now, in the case of IGEL OS, it's bundled in the product already. All you have to do is just turn it on. Then you'll be able to leverage that. The important thing that you need to watch out for is that the VDI client version has a compatibility. So you need to make sure that you'll have to check the compatibility list, making sure that you have the right version of the VDI client installed to match with your VDI Zoom media plugin that's installed on the client device. Now, the other item I want to remind a lot of customers is that because this technology uses our virtual channel, okay, recently we introduced a solution to secure virtual channel. So if the customer enable virtual channel security, you will need to go to our ICAP policy, allow Zoom.exe to access virtual channel. So this way, the Zoom application will be able to talk to the media engine plugins on the client side. Otherwise, if they turn on the virtual channel security, they will block the Zoom exe to access the virtual channel unless you enable whitelist the executable. Okay. Next slide. For Cisco WebEx, we also have a similar technology as well. They're using virtual channel to remote the command and control the media engine on the client side. So there's a client plugin component that is in the thin client, and then on the server side, you need to download specifically WebEx WebEx app VDI version, installing on the Citrix Virtual Desktop. On the ICAP policy, you also have to make sure if you turn on the virtual channel security, then you need to enable a whitelist the WebEx executable as well, so that they can access the proper virtual channel. And with all these solution, you also want to make sure that the compatible version of the client is available and matching with the WebEx VDI client installed inside the VDA. So these are the 3 optimization solution today that we're gonna actually demo in the following sessions. Now, next slide, please. I think a lot of people have some question regarding, well, what if you don't have the these meeting application? What happen to other application that is not in the optimization list, right? So here's a couple of sort of a decision chart that we put together just to help you kind of go through the selection of options, right? So for web-based applications or web-based meeting app or unified communication app, you can try browser content redirection and see if you can actually use our browser content redirection to offload the media call directly onto the client endpoint. And then if that is not supported, or for some reason your application cannot take advantage of that options, then you will have to fall back to audio and webcam redirection, which it will run the application inside virtual desktop, and then you're going to redirect the audio and also webcam back up to the VDA for processing. Now, the trade-off for that is obviously a little bit more resource consumption on the virtual desktop itself. And then also you're subject to some latency that's added in this extra haul of the data transfer from the client to the server. For WebRTC app, is the same thing. If your application is WebRTC enabled, you can check with your unified communication vendor, see if they have joined our Citrix Unified Communication SDK program. And if they do, you actually can take advantage of our existing WebRTC engine that is available on our CWA client. So there's no plugin install required. The vendor, if they adapt our SDK, they will be able to actually take advantage of the existing WebRTC engine that's inside our CWA client. And if obviously, if it, for whatever reason that they don't have implementation of Unified Communication SDK, then they can fall back to our audio or webcam redirection back up to the server as a fallback. And lastly, for the virtual channel is the same thing. If your user, for whatever reason, did not have the compatible media engine plugin installed, and you will be using the fallback method as well. So that's pretty much some of the selection and the options that you may have in order to deliver all these unified communication app to your user. All right, so without any further delay, let's jump into the IGEL side.
Thank you so much, James. So I'm Fredrik Prattstig. I will guide you through the different pieces of optimization in IGEL OS that we are going to talk about today. But first of all, a quick refresh on IGEL OS. So IGEL OS is a x86 based operating system, and it's hardware independent, and you can install this on any kind of x86 based device to refurbish your devices, to breathe new life into those, and so on. It can be PCs, laptops, thin clients. It can be IGEL hardware devices. It can be thin clients from other vendors, which you might reinstall with IGEL OS. And as said before, IGEL OS software solution is certified both for Citrix Ready and Citrix Ready Premium endpoints. And we add on the management tool of the IGEL UMS, Universal Management Suite, which allows you to manage all of your devices on your on-prem environment. But we also have the possibility to use IGEL Cloud Gateway to manage devices that are on remote sites, home offices, anywhere in the world actually. So we have a fully covered solution for managing devices everywhere in simple drag and drop scenario. And it's a very powerful tool to set up like policies or profiles, as we say, how the devices should act and behave, and you can instantly control and switch shape and configurations of devices if you want to. Some more of unified communications and IGEL OS. So we are going to talk about the three top bullets on this slide: Microsoft Teams optimization, Zoom VDI optimization, and Cisco WebEx Teams meetings and JVDI optimization, where we are going to have a look at Cisco WebEx Teams in one of the demos. Apart from those three, we have the old, but the optimization for Microsoft Skype for Business that has been in the IGEL OS for quite some time, and we are going to leave it there as long as it's supported by Microsoft and Citrix. If all those fails, or if you have some other application, we have the possibility to use HTX webcam redirection, as James was talking about, which allows you to actually forward your camera, not USB redirect, but use an agent on the client side and connect the camera to the server side and allow the server side to interact with the camera. And that has been a hassle in the past to actually configure the cameras in a correct way. IGEL has now invented a new product that is called IGEL Automatic Webcam Redirection Configuration, which allows you to set the level of quality of your webcam, and the IGEL OS will handle the rest. It makes everything so much easier. And the last point is browser content redirection, of course, if you want to enable browser content redirection for browser-based unified communications. So in terms of webcam optimization, a question to the audience, which I will try to explain by myself, is do I need to configure my webcam for an optimal experience? Actually, webcams are quite advanced individuals, to be honest. Looking at, you cannot just go for any webcam. It depends on your use case, which kind of quality you want to have, what kind of performance, and so on. So there are cameras out there. There are SD, HD, Full HD, 4K. I would say that 4K is overkill for unified communications. Full HD is top notch, where HD, I would say, is the most commonly used resolutions for cameras. There is also a big difference if the camera supports 10 frames per second or 30 frames per second or 25 frames per second, of course, during the video call. The user experience from the receiving part will be better if you have a higher frame rate. There are also encoding possibilities in certain cameras, some cameras where the cameras can do H.264 encoding and kind of offload the endpoint to reduce the load of the endpoint to do the camera encoding. Some cameras has this feature, some doesn't. IGEL OS has the possibility. We have checkboxes in the registry to enable H.264 encoding for your camera streams. And also the lens format makes a difference. So some lenses or cameras are wide angle, while some are more like regular cameras. So the one that I'm using now is Logitech C930E, which is a wide angle, though in GoToWebinar it has put me in a regular format, but it would allow me to show more of my room. So it depends on which kind of scenario you want to use the camera. So as you can see, there is a lot of things to think about when it comes to the camera. You need to configure your webcam for optimal experience, but we take care of all of these pieces for you. The only thing that you should think about is which kind of camera do you want to use and the kind of performance you want. And of course, proper lighting is very, very important. Otherwise, you will get a loss of quality, loss of frame rate if it's too dark or too bright, and the colors will be skewed a bit. So ensure that you have proper lighting. So we're going to look at, first of all, a demo video. Why am I doing all those demo videos? I will show you a few videos actually, because I believe that those videos will give the user experience a fair play. We will see videos of one-on-one calls with all the 3 products, and we will see a quad user meeting with all the 3 products. We start with the HDX Microsoft Teams optimization. And I mean, the reason for optimization is to enhance the user experience. We will also, the benefit will be we will reduce the CPU usage on the server side, on the VDA, because we are transferring the rendering of the audio and the video to the endpoint instead of the VDA. And we will also, by that, reduce the network load of the VDA, which is also beneficial, because otherwise, with the camera streams and so on, the VDAs will get flooded. In IGEL OS, HDX optimization is for Microsoft Teams is enabled by default. You just need to configure your Citrix environment, connect, and you're ready to go. And the same thing is for Citrix. So HDX optimization for Microsoft Teams is enabled by default on the VDAs. If you happen to have an earlier version of the delivery controllers, if you are not already in the cloud, then you can actually install VDAs that are on a more recent version, which allows you to use Teams optimization without having the possibility to turn on the policies. And I have created a short link to the installation document of Microsoft Teams for VDI. So tiny.cc ms Teams VDI, and it's case sensitive if you want to open up that link. I think this will be provided, the presentation will be provided after the webinar. So now it's time for the first video, and the video should guide you quite well to see the user experience of Microsoft Teams optimization in IGEL OS and Citrix. So I will start the video.
Good morning, Frederick.
Hello, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Sounds good. I'm fine too. Thanks. So we are now using HDX optimized Microsoft Teams. Let's have a quick review of our environment. I am using a UD7 IGEL OS powered device. and I am connected to a Citrix server here in Sweden, and I believe that you are connected to the same Citrix server, but where are you located, Jeff?
You are correct. I'm using UD7 connected to your server from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the middle of the United States.
Cool. It's a cross-Atlantic call as always when we are talking. So, Jeff,
working very well.
Can you show the user experience from the spectator view when you are sharing your screen, please?
Sure. Hang on 1 second here. We'll open my share tray here, and I'll go ahead and select my desktop. And you should see a couple of graphically intense. I have a 4K video playing here of some forests and some flyovers, and
Yes.
that old NVIDIA kind of talking head, moving head in the background.
Hello, Jeff, my friend. We are now in the Microsoft Teams meeting that is HDX optimized. How are you, man?
Good, Frederick. How are you?
I am very good too. Thank you. So we are now in a 4-participant call, and 2 of me and 2 of you, Jeff. On my side, I will now switch to gallery view. Large gallery, actually. Just to
Look
see
at us.
all our video streams. And that seems to be working very well.
Yeah,
So we are
it
using
does.
4 different IGEL OS devices connected to the same Microsoft Teams meeting using a Citrix server in Sweden. I am based in Sweden, and Jeff, where are you based?
I'm based in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the United States.
Cool.
And I'll restart that video here, and you can get a feel for the performance of video through Teams.
Yeah.
This YouTube.
And it works perfectly fine. The video is coming through nicely. I am at the same time looking at the CPU utilization of the VM that we are connected to. We are actually all of us connected to the same session host 2019 server, and the CPU usage is very low, which indicates that proper offloading image quality or video quality is sharp and nice. I will open up on my side PuTTY, which is connected to my endpoint device where I'm connected into Citrix, just to look at the HDX RTC engine, which is running, and it's using 77% CPU, which is not 77% of the total CPU, but based on 1 core. So there was HDX Teams optimization on IGEL OS and Citrix, and we jump forward to Zoom VDI. And it's the same use case for Zoom VDI as HDX Microsoft Teams optimization, of course. Enhance user experience, reduce CPU usage, and reduce network load. And Zoom VDI needs to be enabled on IGEL OS. There is a single checkbox to enable this. You can find it on the Citrix, Citrix Global, and Unified Communications. So Zoom VDI needs to match between the server side and the client side, which makes it a bit of a hassle if you want to follow the release cycles of IGEL or release cycles of Zoom. Then those versions needs to match. So we have started to take on that problem, and we are doing this as of the current private build 11.05.160, and going forward, we have multiple versions of the Zoom VDI plugin on the client side. So you can select and match to your version of Zoom. And the installation of Zoom for the VDI, for the VDA server-side piece, you can find the installation guides by using the tiny.cc Zoom VDI. And that will explain to you how to do the installation. And of course, on the IGEL side, you do not need to do the installation because we have done that for you. You just need to enable the feature. So we're going to take a look at another video, which is about the same thing as the one we saw previously, but this will be with Zoom. And it will allow you to compare the user experience between those two. So I will start the playback of the video. Enjoy. Hello, Jeff. Good morning.
Good morning, Frederick.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Sounds good. So we just experienced a direct video call on Zoom VDI offloaded on IGEL OS in Citrix, and it works flawless.
Yes, it does.
I will switch my view to gallery view just to see ourselves side by side, because that's how I like it more. I see that you are using your virtual background. I am not, but that is fine. It's more of an important piece in the Zoom VDI client that it supports virtual backgrounds. Also
right, as we said before, I switched it to our Disrupt event from early this year.
Yep.
So just to prove that, hey, we can switch this up easily. So San Francisco and go back to the IGEL background. So yeah, it is impressive how Zoom handles some of these features that people are asking for. It seems crazy, but they do like these.
Very much.
Frederick, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jeff, or afternoon to me, actually.
Ah, yes, it is.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Frederick, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So we're now in a 4-participant call, 2 of you and 2 of me, where I am using a UD7 and a UD3 device connected into a Citrix session, and we are using Zoom VDI plugin offloaded on the IGEL OS device. And what about your environment, Jeff?
Well, I'm also using UD7. I'm connected to Citrix servers in Sweden. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, of course. So it's pretty spectacular performance when I consider how far away I am and the latency.
Yep.
I'm experiencing. It's pretty good. Let me show you what I was going to say. Let me show you my screen, and you can see what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll show the entire screen so you can see everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see here, I've got a video playing, a YouTube video. It's one of those 4K nature flyover videos. It's supposed to be relaxing. We'll shut down the YouTube. We'll shut down the FaceWorks.
Yeah, because then I can actually demo that the CPU utilization of the server goes down to very calm, and so that the YouTube video was actually the one that was using the most of resources. I think that is enough for this session, Jeff. Very nice to talk to you again, of course, and I will see you soon.
I was going to say, we'll talk again soon.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Zoom. As you could see, it's about the same experience for the user. We also added where I was receiving a call from Jeff as a one-on-one, just for you to see how quickly the camera picks up and shows the videos and yeah, how the user experience is to also retrieve a phone call. As you can see, about the same user experience. One of the plus sides for Zoom, I would say, is the virtual background, which is actually quite important. So let's go to the third piece, which is Cisco WebEx Optimization in Citrix and IGEL OS, of course. And we have the same reasons again: enhance the user experience, reduce the CPU usage, and the network of the server environment. Cisco WebEx, as the same as Zoom, needs to be enabled on the IGEL OS. It's integrated. You just need one checkbox and you're good to go. Cisco WebEx, actually three different, because it depends on which product you are using from Cisco. If you're using Teams, if you're using Meetings, or if you're using JVDI. But it's just single checkbox to enable the different services. Cisco WebEx is also version dependent on between server side and client side. And IGEL OS since 11.05.160 has three different versions included. You just need to select which one matches to your VDI environment. And you install the WebEx VDI following the guidelines tiny.cc/WebEx VDI. And let's have a look at the final video showing Citrix WebEx. Actually, this is not the final, because we will then combine all of the three different optimization technologies in one single session. The videos are quite extensive, all of them, and that's because I want to show the real user experience, not a really hard cut video. So I will play the next video, which is Cisco WebEx Teams. Enjoy. Hello, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Frederick. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, even if it's afternoon and soon another day.
I never get that right.
So, Jeff, we are doing a one-on-one call in Cisco WebEx VDI using IGEL OS, and we are connecting to a Citrix server, and the Citrix server is based here in Sweden, where I am too. And what about you?
Connected to the same Citrix environment, offloading using a UD7, and looking at your picture in full screen, and the quality of the image is spectacular.
Yeah.
Not just the subject, and works quite well. Good morning, Frederick.
Good afternoon,
Frederick.
So the call came in nicely. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Frederick. How are you doing today?
I am very fine, thank you. And how are you, Jeff?
I'm doing good.
Sounds good.
It's great talking with you on Cisco Teams.
Yeah, Cisco Teams VDI, actually.
Actually, is it? Yeah, Cisco WebEx Teams, I believe. Yeah, and it is VDI. Absolutely.
Exactly. So we are now in a 4-participant call where I am using IGEL OS endpoints, one UD3 and one UD7, and I'm based in Sweden, and I'm connected to a Citrix server that is also located here in Sweden. And what about you, Jeff?
I have pretty much the same setup. I have a UD7 and a UD3. I'm using UD7. The UD7 is my primary, which is carrying the audio, and I have the UD3 muted at the moment.
Yep.
And I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, connected to servers in Sweden.
So I will actually break the video there because you have seen all the 3 different use cases, one-on-one and quad calls. You have seen the performance. You have heard the audio quality. What is very interesting is actually that right next to my room where I am now, I have my lab environment where I have a few Citrix servers running, and Jeff is, and I'm in Sweden. And Jeff is in US and are connected to my Citrix environment while we are doing all those tests. So it's quite impressive to see how well the different product works in this scenario. As you can see, we done a few calls, which you can hear while we are starting up each call to each other. So let's have a look at the last piece. So this is also a video where we are combining all of the 3 different technologies in one single Citrix session. And I will play the video immediately to be cautious of time, and enjoy. So I'm launching a session. And I will start up Microsoft Teams. I will start up Zoom. And Cisco WebEx is also started. So first off, I'm going to call Jeff Kohlberg on Microsoft Teams. It's a video call. Hello, Jeff.
Frederick.
Hi, Jeff. How are you? So we are now on Microsoft Teams.
We are, and it seems to be working well.
Seems to be working very well. So that's the user experience for a one-to-one call on Microsoft Teams offloaded using Citrix and IGEL OS.
Correct.
So
And,
Jeff, I will now hang up and call you on Zoom.
Sounds good.
See you soon.
Talk to you in a minute.
Yep. Bye-bye. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Frederick. It's like Zoom answered, it rang in perfectly after hanging up from Teams.
Yeah, sounds good.
30 seconds later, you come in with Zoom. Picture looks good.
Yeah, and you also actually have the green screen and the background image in the video call. So this is Zoom VDI on IGEL OS in the same Citrix session.
Good. Hey, let's try it with Cisco.
Yeah, of course. I will call you there.
Cisco WebEx Teams, right?
Yes.
Okay.
See you soon.
Talk to you in a minute.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Frederick.
Now we are. I'm good. Now we are on Cisco Teams within the same session still, and yeah, Cisco Teams VDI offloaded on IGEL OS. The camera is performing the same way. So I stopped the video there because we are almost running out of time, and there is a few simple slides left. The last piece you saw was a single Citrix session where we did test the 3 different platforms without logging off, without enabling or disabling stuff. The only thing you need to take in consideration is you cannot share the camera between two different applications at the same time. So you need to close down the camera feed before you can use the camera in the next application. So if you are already an existing IGEL customer, which I believe you are, and you want to get your hands on the 11.05.160, you can just go to the tiny.cc 11.05.160, and you should be able to download the private build of 11.05.160 to be able to enjoy all those nice features. And some web links if you want to get in contact and want to learn more. Of course, citrixready.citrix.com/igel-technology to read about our Citrix Ready membership. IGEL.com for IGEL corporate information, of course. You can email citrix@igel.com if you want to come in communications with IGEL representatives. And I have a blog site that is called virtualbrat.com, where I post stuff with my own words on IGEL OS, and there's a lot of unified communications and accelerated graphics and so on that site. And now it's time for the Q&A. I think we are almost running out of time, but let's see where we go.
Yeah, so thanks Fredrik for this walking through the webinar. So I'll just pick up a few questions as we are running out of the time. So the first one is, how does IGEL handle multi-monitors?
So the connection is quite bad. I will see if I can see the questions.
Yeah. So, am I audible to you?
So the audio sadly breaks up. I cannot hear what you're saying, Sashi.
Oh, sorry. Probably you can take the question, or let me see.
Yeah, so the question is, how does IGEL device support multi-monitor?
Oh, we support whatever your hardware can do. So on the UD 7 and the UD 3 devices, which me and Jeff was using during the videos, the UD 7 can hold up to 4 monitors on the same device. The UD 3 can hold up to 2 monitors, but if you have an 8-monitor graphics card in a machine or thin client or whatever it might be, that is addressable. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thanks, Fredrik. Am I audible now?
I can hear you, but a little muffled, the sound.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to just check now if it is good.
That's better.
Yep.
At least. So actually, I do not see the questions. I see only the panelists.
Hey guys, I'm sorry that my voice is breaking up, I think.
Fredrik, I found them. They're a little, they were a little buried.
Okay.
So we have one question here. Well, have we seen issues? This is more directed to IGEL. Have we seen issues with IGEL OS not recognizing audio and video drivers? I would say, generally speaking, no. I mean, they're especially on equipment manufactured in the last, say, 6-7 years. More often, obviously, we need to test when there is the occasional chipset that may not be supported, but for the most part, we have really, really good success.
And I would add on there that in the past, like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a lot of those issues, even on IGEL OS. But as we are now trying to keep up with the kernels and drivers implemented in the operating system, that is generally not a problem.
Then another question has to do with are there any requirements for the headphones to make them work with IGEL and Teams optimization inside Citrix? Somebody indicated they've had some trouble. I will say that it's often quite difficult to nail down the exact headset that you're using or microphone that you're using. On the IGEL side, there's obviously the IGEL sound mixer, where perhaps you're not using, maybe the audio is going to HDMI instead of to analog, or same thing with the microphones. But
Yeah.
there is the setting in Citrix, which one is it, where we expose the actual devices into the session, where they can be picked up by Teams. That's the webcam for, I'm trying to find it here.
Yeah, it's to show all the audio devices that are available on the device in the session. But when looking at optimization, actually the engine on the client side is
should pick up.
giving you the
There
possibility.
should be no need for audio redirection in that case. Yeah.
Exactly.
Correct. I finally got in here. I was going to do a quick look and tell people to make sure that we looked at in the IGEL configuration. When you get down into go down to the IGEL registry section, there's a section in ICA, and I believe it's the module.ini, right, where we have the VDCam version 4 support.
Yeah.
And that's not active by default. When you activate that, the audio devices show through, the actual device names show through into Teams. So you're working directly with the devices, but you're able to select them, and that could be helpful. So, so which version of IGEL OS needed for Teams optimization? Well, I would argue perhaps the more current, the better. 11.05.100 would be a minimum, but I think the more current versions, you're going to get access to the newer versions of the Workspace app, and both sides everybody's constantly working to improve this. So I would say more current, better.
Yeah, and I mean, you can compare how it was back in the days when Skype for Business optimization or offloading was new. There were quite a long stretch until you actually had all the features and functions and quality and so on until it was in place. So I would say, of course, features are being added over time, but honestly, if you are on a current release of the Workspace app, you have a very high success rate, possibility to succeed. There is another question: what are the minimal requirements regarding network bandwidth, memory, and GPU? So when you're using offloading, GPUs on server side does not play any role because it's all handled by the endpoint. But in terms of network bandwidth and memory, it's actually decided by the Citrix Workspace app. So the devices.
Let me clarify this on the network bandwidth side. I think because the actual media call, okay, is offloaded to the endpoint, right? So the ICA traffic, the ICA traffic is actually kept to pretty minimal. There's not a lot of video signals that are being traversed or even audio being redirected back up to the VDI. So the ICA traffic itself will be kept minimal, but obviously the actual video call traffic itself will be offloaded to the endpoint. So you still need to make sure that the client device has adequate bandwidth to access the media services that the unified communication vendor is providing. So that's probably one thing that you have to watch out for, is that the endpoints still have to have solid internet connections in order to conduct a good user experience in those cases. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing I want to point out is that the VDA itself, okay, the minimum requirement is kind of general, right? So in the VDI, desktop, it typically is 2 vCPU, 4 gig of RAM is what we're seeing today in the standard. Most of the customer is using that as their deployment strategy. However, it really depends on the app, okay? And also depends on what people are doing with the unified communication app. The modern unified communication app today has a lot of extensions that's been added to it. Like Microsoft Teams, for example, they connect to your calendar, they connect it to a lot of other extensive application library that the unified communication vendor provides. So with all those things added into the session, user might have to expect a little bit more resources consumed in the application itself. Okay, so that's not something that Citrix can control, but you have to keep in mind when you're designing your virtual desktop infrastructure, do take a look at how much memory the application is using, and make sure you're sizing it accordingly. Otherwise, your user might have some user experience issues that come in with application load time and things like that. So yeah, just keep in mind those requirements, the application itself. Yeah.
And add on to that, I mean, the user experience, the quality of the video, and potentially the audio is also determined by the CPU strength of the endpoint. So I think the recommendation from Citrix is somewhere around 1.5 or 2 gigahertz CPU, which is what you get in more or less any device currently. So if you have an older device, you might actually get it working without any issues, but the quality of the video call might be lower due to the specifications of the endpoint.
Yep, that's a very good point.
There are a question about Cisco Jabber, if that has been tested, and I can say by myself that I have not tested Cisco Jabber. Somebody else that wants to speak out? Nope.
I will point out, Frederick, that IGEL does provide offloading support for Jabber in the form of JVDI.
Yeah, I put in the link to your site there on the
Good.
Perfect.
It's quite configurable. Perfect. Thanks.
Hey guys,
So
I think, yeah, sorry to interrupt. I hate to do this, but yeah, I think we have almost run out of the time, and
Yes.
we may have to conclude this webinar. So just before we conclude, I just want to thank everyone for joining this webinar. And as we mentioned earlier, that we are giving away Amazon Echo Dot to every 10th attendee who have attended. So please watch out for an email from us if you have won it. So with that said, I thank again James, Frederick, Jeff, and Jim for joining the webinar, and everyone taking out their time today. Have a good one ahead, and take care. Be safe.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.